Great. Well, we're glad everyone who could join us today again. If you just popped in, we're glad to have you. Um, I'm gonna talk briefly about why writing at home. And when we think about writing, it really is, as we know, a form of communication. And starting at a very, very young age, children can express themselves through writing in various ways. They can draw pictures. When you think about little toddlers, even 3, 4-year-olds, where it's just inventive spelling or a string of lines, and I'll say, "Tell me your story." Well, once upon a time, there was a dog who went, and all I see is a line. But to that child, that is a story, and that is their story. And we know storytelling is cross-cultural, it's universal. So again, regardless of language or background or experiences, whatever that child can bring, they can bring whatever they have and share. We learn from each other. So our children look up to us in terms of what that looks like. If they only see us communicating, maybe texting, and that's the only form of writing that they experience, then they don't necessarily grow up seeing all these other ways to communicate. To Jamie's example, writing a sticky note, writing out the menu for the week or a recipe. Um, Kids love that kind of thing. Again, it gives them a purpose, and it really gives them an opportunity to connect and feel like they have something important to say. And again, it's a developmental process. I know when Taylor, again, who thinks she is, my daughter, the best author on the planet, and I love her confidence. I want her to go into adulthood with confidence, is she would write these stories that made, I'm sorry, no sense. Like, I have no idea. And my husband would look at it, he's like, "She spelled this wrong." I'm like, "Don't tell her she spelled it wrong. That's not the point. She's telling a story." And she walks around, she has buckets of notebooks, right? The dollar store that you walk away $100 later. Yeah, that's where we live. So we buy notebooks, and she's got stickers on them, and she doodles on the back, and she has notepads and little pieces of paper, and just lots of whiteboards. My kids love whiteboards. Again, the dollar store, they can write on those as well. So again, just an opportunity to share thinking and thoughts and to build confidence, because writing, as we know, will become more sophisticated as children develop. So when they get into, even in the elementary grades, my daughter is in 5th grade, she really has to write more in response to reading. She doesn't like that necessarily. She's like, "I want to write my stories." Well, I understand, Taylor, but there's a purpose for this. And but she has that foundation that's going to help her be successful. So lots of reasons to write, and to write often. And like I warned you earlier, we are going to practice some writing. So hopefully you're ready. And you have a piece of paper. Don't worry, there's no grade. But this is an activity that you can take and do it with your children if you'd like to. And I'm going to share my screen. And it is called a bio poem. And I'm going to type mine just because it's easier to demonstrate. However, and of course, that is one method of writing, is typing. And we live in a world of, especially now, of all this technology. I will tell you, as an educator, if you have young children, if your children here are in kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, I strongly encourage the paper, marker, pencil, as opposed to typing at those early grades. So just a little bit of a pet peeve. Okay, so I am going to share my screen so I can demonstrate what we call a bio poem. So hopefully you're ready. Everyone got their pen? Thumbs up. You can give me the little icon if you want, or you can just nod or just do whatever makes you feel comfortable. So this is an activity that you can do with your family and your kids. And and kids love it. And maybe us adults too, because it's a poem about ourselves. So, who else do we like to talk about more? So the first line, are you ready? I'm going to take us step by step on how to complete. And don't worry, it's not a very sophisticated poem. So if you're worried, if you hear poetry and you panic, don't panic. Okay, the first thing you need to write is your first name. So my name is Sarah. So the first line is your first name. So you can write that down. The next line is you're going to write 4 adjectives, 4 that describe yourself. Okay, so there we go. Now I have to spell. So you're going to see red lines because interjectic, I'm going to spell wrong, totally wrong. But I get to cheat and have, oh no, it didn't even like that. I don't even like that word anymore, too much pressure. I'm going to say I'm fun. I'm positive. I can be outgoing, although I can also be shy. So those are 4 adjectives to describe myself: fun, positive, outgoing, and shy, which I know contradict each other, but that really is how I am. Okay, so you've got your name on the first line. The second line is 4 adjectives. And I apologize for my pace. I'm trying to not go too slow, not too fast. You can yell at me if I'm going too fast. The next line is sibling of Sam. So my brother's name is Sam. So you can just, this is a stem. So you can just copy that, sibling of, and if you don't have a sibling, it could be cousin of, uncle of, wife. There's a lot of flexibility. Here's another stem, so you can copy this part. Lover of, so 3 things that you love. Lover of ice cream. Again, this is going to contradict itself. Running. I have to run because I eat a lot of ice cream. And the outdoors. So Sarah, fun, positive, outgoing, shy, sibling of Sam, lover of ice cream, running, outdoors. How we doing? Good? How's my pace, Jamie?
Really good. And you're exactly like me, just so you know. I was writing everything you were saying. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so much like me.
Do you have a brother named Sam?
That's the only difference so far.
Who feels? Okay, here's the next stem we're going to start with. So everyone can write down. Who feels? And you're going to write 3 feelings you have and kind of when they're felt. Who feels, I feel relaxed. Oops. On the weekends, kind of, when I'm not doing laundry and cleaning house and, you know, mom jobs. I feel joy while running, which is odd. And I feel happy when I am on vacation, which never happens. And there's no right or wrong. No one's checking. Don't worry. Even if you just want to write 3 things you feel, you're good. Okay, who gives? So here's our next stem. Who gives? 3 things that you give. I give time with my kids. I give, what else do I give? I don't even know. Treats to my dog. I'm pulling here. When I'm okay, who gives time with my kids? So time with my kids, treats to my dog, and oh goodness, hugs to my husband, I guess. I do. I love my husband. Don't worry. I shouldn't say that. That sounded reluctant. So something you give. And again, it doesn't have to be too extensive. This is really just an opportunity to write. Okay, that was a tough one. Here we go. Who fears? Oh, I can do this one. Who fears? Well, I fear illness. I fear heights. And I have some anxiety, so I fear illness, heights, and oh, snakes. That one's easier for me. The next stem, who would like to see? And then 3 things you would like to see. I would like to see the world healthy again. I like to see everyone healthy. I would like to see, I'd like to travel. I would love to see Spain one day. And I would like to see my kids grow up happy. I know that's kind of, you can tell my kids, right? Like like everything's about them right now. I'm sure you all can relate. That's why you're here. Who lives in Reno. And so that's the last one. And the last one is my last name. We are officially poets. Look at how amazing we are. You're going to see your kids and you're like, I wrote a poem today. And now you can have them write a poem. So that's it. And it's about yourself. And your kids can do this. You can do this activity again. There really is no right or wrong. And again, I mean, I'm going to rethink this later. You know, I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night. I'm like, really? I fear this? So here's my final one. Sarah, fun, positive, outgoing, shy, sibling of Sam, lover of ice cream, running outdoors, who feels relaxed on the weekends, joy while running, happy when I am on vacation, who gives time with my kids, treats to my dog, hugs to my husband, who fears illness, heights, snakes, who would like to see the world healthy, Spain, and my kids grow up happy, who lives in Reno, Nevada, Cunningham. The end. What do you think? Is that a feasible activity? You think you could do that with your kids, maybe? Hopefully you got an opportunity to practice that. And again, just the one example of an activity you can also do as a family. Well, thank you for being vulnerable, let me be vulnerable in front of you, writing my poem about myself. Now I see why maybe I should have done about someone else.
No, we learned a lot about you, Sarah. And if anybody ever wants to be brave and share their writing, we would love to hear it. But we understand if you don't want to share it either, because writing can be very private as well, where you want to just keep it to yourself. Or if you are an outgoing person and you're willing to share, we would love to hear it. So either way, we value your opinion and what you want to do. So was there anybody that wanted to share their writing? Okay.
Well, thank you for participating. Yes. And then Jamie, are you going to share the PowerPoint and we'll go over the next?
Yes.
So the next example, don't worry, we're not going to make you do this time, but it is a fun one. And I had my daughter do it last night because we had never done this one anymore. And it's very simple. It's called a concrete poem. And essentially you draw an object. And if you're like me, that's going to be like a circle, you know, we'll call it the sun because I'm not very good artist, or an ice cream cone. I could probably do that. And so the outline of a shape, and then you're going to brainstorm 10 words or phrases that describe your object. So whatever that is. And then you can write your poem inside the drawing. So we had two examples here of a rainbow, and you can see the words written in the shape of a rainbow, and then this beautiful spiraling heart. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm excited I'm not modeling that because it probably wouldn't look this beautiful. But again, when you think of young children, they love this, kind of stuff. And it paints a picture of words. And of course, they're going to want to put it on the refrigerator. So just to let you know, because that's gold to kids. So again, just another example. And I believe you have this with you, a copy of this example. So you can try this one later as well.
Thank you, Sarah. Let's see. Okay, so we have another fun poem. I'm really excited about this one. So we would like you to join us in creating this a heart map. And so I wanted to kind of show you what the end product can look like. Obviously, it doesn't have to look like this. I think that's what I love about people is how different we all are. But this is one example of somebody that did a heart map. And so the goal of your heart map is to basically, it encompasses or shows everything that you love. And so I wanted to show you that you can make shapes within your heart and kind of make it artistic, show off your artistic talents that I know some of you have or your child has. So this is a type of writing that we might be able to lure in those reluctant writers, but maybe they're the artistic. They like art, they like drawing because this is something that they can draw and make unique and artistic, colorful. So there's lots of different things they can do with it. So we're going to go back to the directions. So the first thing that you are going to do is you are going to make a large heart and try to make a heart the size of your piece of paper. So it's as big as your piece of paper.
Mine.
Oh, good example. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, I can do a heart. That's about the extent of it, but I can do a heart.
And if for some reason, I mean, I've been in classes where kids are like, I can't draw a heart. So I mean, if there's something else that they would rather draw, a square or a circle.
Yeah, my son would not want to do a heart.
Yes, I've had many kids that tell me. Maybe a large star. I know a lot of kids get excited when they learn how to draw a star, so that would be a fun one to do. Okay, so the first one we're going to do is what makes you happy. So in your heart, you're going to write either a word, one word, you can draw a phrase or write a phrase or a short sentence. What's something that makes you happy? And under that, if you want to draw a picture, a little tiny picture of what makes you happy, you can do that. I know for me, anything that makes me happy, I love being outside. I love hiking and just being in nature, being in the trees.
That's what I put. See, we're like soul sisters.
I know everything you were saying. And I'm going to say the next thing, what do you love? And I am very much like Sarah. I love ice cream. That would be something I would draw in my heart. My favorite ice cream flavor is mint chocolate chip.
I do.
So whenever I'm with my family and we're pretty much every night, we want ice cream. So that's something we do that our family loves.
Hence the running.
And yep, we have to run.
I run for ice cream.
So much. So true. Number 3, what is the most fun you have ever had? Oh gosh, the most fun. It's hard to narrow that one down. I feel very blessed. I've had a lot of fun in my life. I'm going to say the most fun I've ever had is going to Hawaii with my family. We went to the beach I love going to the beach.
I put camping. That's supposed to be a tent. It's a triangle, but
You know what?
it's a
I would
triangle
probably
with
ditto
tents.
you. I love camping too. What memory, number 4, what memory is your favorite? I think one of my favorite memories is spending time with my grandma. She is very famous in our family for making coconut cream pie. And out of all the coconut cream pies I've ever had in my entire life, she makes the best. And she makes a meringue topping. And my husband used to say, why does she put meringue topping on top of it? But I don't know what it is. It is amazing. That's one of that is one of my favorite memories of my life. Just
Oh,
standing next to her and helping her make it and then eating it together.
grandmas are the best.
They are. Number 5, what things or objects are important to you? I would say definitely things that are important. I love reading, and I love reading with my boys. So our house, we have books. We love books. So books are definitely important to me. Objects. I have some objects that are from our family. I have a quilt from my great grandma that she made, and that's really important to me. And I have some letters from my grandmother that passed away. She was 99, which is so exciting that she lived such a long, happy life. But she was a writer and she would always write me really long letters and cards. And I saved all of them. So I have a box of all her letters and cards. And so that's something that's really important to me. Number 6, what things in your heart are sad that make you cry? I think some things that a lot of us might be able to relate to right now is a hard time. 2020 has been a hard year with the coronavirus. I have some friends that have gotten sick. My friend this morning just told me that her dad passed away because of COVID. And that made me really sad. I actually cried this morning. Number 7, what secrets are in your heart?
Secrets. Better not write that
I know. I'm like, that kind of sounds sneakier. Let's see.
down.
I don't know. I mean, one of the things a secret passion, I love sweets. Like I will, and I don't know, a lot of people don't know that about me, but I can eat a lot of sweets. I have a bad sweet tooth. And so if you have M&Ms or a bag of chocolates next to me, you better watch out.
Good to know.
I don't know, Sarah, can you think of any other secrets in your heart?
Oh yeah, I probably have secrets. I know we're all friends now, but I'm not going to tell you all my secrets.
I know.
I put my secret. This probably sounds silly. It's not really a secret, but it's cheesy. Is that I really thought, like for a long time, like I'm old now, so I like know my future, but I thought I was going to be a famous actress one day. I'm not gonna lie, that's my secret. Like that was like, regardless of what I was doing in my life, I'm like, Hollywood's gonna call me. Like my time is still coming. I think I've let it go, but deep down, that's my secret.
Oh, you're so funny. You're so much like me. So you just reminded me of a secret that I used to think I was going to be a singer. And when I was growing up, I would just belt out and sing as loud as I could Whitney Houston songs. She was my favorite singer growing up. And so I would lip sing them, I would sing them in the shower, and I
I
really thought I was going to be a singer.
Yeah, no, I was, I still am like, is paparazzi following me? They're not. They're not. But I'm still waiting. I'm waiting for the call.
I can see that happening, Sarah.
Oh, sure. They're going to need like in a few years, like a grandma to show up to. I could do that. I could be the crazy grandma in a movie.
Okay, number 8. What are your favorite things or toys? I'm
Hmm.
going to go back to when I was growing up and I was a little girl. I had a dollhouse that I played with all the time. And it was a little dollhouse. It wasn't super extravagant like they have now. But it was my favorite. And I used to add on to it. I would take my books and build on additions to the dollhouse so it would be bigger. And then I would put my Barbies in it. But I could play there all day. That was one of my favorite things to do as a child.
I put music, anything to do with music. I had the Walkman, with a cassette player. I know most of you are probably younger than me, but yeah, that was like my jam. And even now, I like my music. Although I don't sing. I don't sing.
And number 9, what activities do you love? Like Sarah, I love to run. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love camping with my family and just anything being outdoors. We like to hike, go on trails, and explore. We love we love to eat different foods. We're an eating family, so anytime we can try a new restaurant or like what I mentioned earlier, I love to cook with my son. So today we are going to make lasagna together.
Fun.
Sounds nice to have when it's cold outside too.
Oh yeah. I plan to do nothing but eat all weekend and watch Hallmark Christmas movies. So
Ooh, I like that plan. Thank you for sharing your heart, Sarah. I like it.
I didn't ask, but I'm like a child. I'm going to hang this up in my office, everyone. So that's how kids feel at the end. They're like, look at that, I did that. And it's about me and it's personal. So I'm not I'm
Look
not
at all the great writing and the artistic talents that we were able to incorporate into that writing activity. So hopefully that you will find joy in doing this with your child at home. And you can even make the questions different. They don't have to be these specific questions. You can change them up and cater it towards your family and what your family likes to do. And here's that other example. Now that you've done one,
There was a great idea in the chat. I hope it's okay. I'm going to share it with everyone because I love it. Just with Christine had mentioned, if either one of these poems really, as we approach, for those who celebrate, if you celebrate Thanksgiving, I think my kids, it'd be a good opportunity to ask them questions of things they're grateful for. Because 2020 has been a very interesting year. And I think as a mother, for me, I want my children to get out of this experience in life, right? What can we be grateful for? Because we are blessed and we're lucky and we're healthy. And so, I think I'm going to steal this idea
I
and use
like
it
that.
during that time. So thank you, Christine.
Oh, yes, thank you. That reminds me, for our family, unfortunately, we are not getting together this year for Thanksgiving, but every Thanksgiving, we have a Thanksgiving tablecloth and we put it on our dining room table, and everybody in the family that is over on that day for Thanksgiving takes turns writing something. And we write memories of that year. We write things that we're grateful for that year. And we just started it 2 years ago. And so it kind of makes me sad that we're not going to do it this year, but it's really fun to go back and read what everybody wrote the years in the past and just how much we've grown because you can see your kids. It's really fun to watch your kids in their handwriting because you can see, oh my gosh, look at how much you've improved. Or things that they were interested in years ago. You remind them, like, look at what you were into. Like my son Camden, who's an 18-year-old now, he used to love Thomas the Train. So we always have memories of him. He watched every Thomas the Train cartoon and he could name every single train. But it's just fun to reminisce and go back in time with your kids.
I love that.
Okay, so we have a really beautiful story. I was reading this before we got on, and I just love the illustrations. I love when people read me stories. I love reading to my children. I'm going to be honest, my son Jansen, not being the writer, but he always loved when I read to him. So there's times where I'm like, sit down, we're going to read. And so if I can sneak in a book, I'll still read to him.
Oh, yeah.
But I want you to notice as I'm reading, just look at the beautiful pictures. And as I read, I want you to think about any connections that you have to this story. I know I wasn't sure if I would have connections, but the more that I read, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can relate to this. So the author of this story is Yuri Morales. And some of the words are in Spanish, so I want you to, I'm not a Spanish, I do not know Spanish. So if I pronounce the words wrong, I apologize.
And Jamie, just to let you know on the time, so we have about 12 more minutes.
Okay, so this is
just part of it, yeah.
So amor, love, amor, resplendent life, you and I. I dreamed of you, then you appeared. Together we became. One day we bundled gifts in our backpack. We crossed a bridge outstretched like the universe. And as I was reading this, I was wondering where they were going. They're crossing a bridge. And when we made it to the other side, thirsty in awe, unable to go back, we became immigrants. And I want you to think of that word immigrants. Have you ever been an immigrant? Do you know somebody that's been an immigrant, that's traveled to a new place? Oops. Migrants, you and I. The sky and the land welcomed us in words, unlike those of our ancestors. There were so many things we didn't know, unable to understand and afraid to speak. Have you ever been in a new place and just looking around and not knowing where you're at? You're in a new place, you don't know the language, you don't understand everything that's happening. We made lots of mistakes. Uh-oh. You can see the police officer looking at them. You and I became caminates. Oops. Thousands and thousands of steps we took around this land, until the day we found a place we had never seen before. Suspicious. Improbable. Unbelievable. Surprising. Unimaginable. Where we didn't need to speak. We only needed to trust. And we did. Books became our language. Books became our homes. Books became our lives. We learned to read, to speak, to write, and to make our voices heard. Someday we will become something we haven't even yet imagined. But right now, we are stories. We are two languages. We are lucha. We are resilience. We are hope. We are dreamers. Sonadoras of the world. We are love, amor, love. So I know we are getting closer to time, but I know one of my favorite things to do after I read a story, and you don't always have to have your child write after you read, but once in a while it's fun to do. I know as a teacher, I would always do this with my students and they loved it. We call them quick writes. And so we would just write for 6 minutes. I would turn on a timer and for 6 minutes, they would just respond to how they felt to the story. Sometimes you don't even need to give them direction. It's just kind of what they're feeling in their mind, kind of what they were thinking about, connections that they had as you read the story. They could be writing just a brief summary where they tell you everything that happened in their own words. Something that you could do is does the author do a good job of making you feel like you were there? I know when I was reading this story earlier, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm there with them. And it made me think of so many things. In a little bit, I'll share you my writing and just what I thought of as I was listening to this story. Are the main characters believable? So can you relate to some of these characters? I know for me, I could relate. Would you be friends with the main character? And then what do you like or dislike about how the author writes? So maybe the story, you just fell in love with it and you're like, I love it. I know for me, I want to find other books by this author. I loved the illustrations, the pictures in the story as well. Don't forget to include your opinion of the book and then whether you liked it or disliked it. So I know we have a couple minutes, but right now I just want you to take just a couple minutes and just respond to that story. How did it make you feel? Did you like how the author wrote it? Did it remind you of anything that's happened to you? I just really quickly, I was just going to share my writing really quickly just to give you an idea of how you could respond to that story. I know, as we know, writing is so personal and you can make it your own, but I wanted you to have an example. And so when I read that story, it reminded me of a time when my husband and I moved to Las Vegas when we were just out of college and we had just gotten married. So I'll give you that. So my writing says, Dreamers reminded me of a time in my life when my husband and I moved far away from our home. We moved to Las Vegas to start our new married life together. I remember feeling scared and afraid of the big city we had just moved to. I missed my family from back home and wondered if I'd be able to survive without them so close. As we navigated through what seemed to be an unfamiliar world, we quickly learned how to make the best of our situation. We were able to get jobs at two amazing schools. We were able to get to know people at our new jobs and became really great friends with many wonderful families. And so that was my response to the story. It just reminded me of my experience of moving to Las Vegas and how scary it was. But we quickly adapted to the situation and made the best of it and made great friends. We had our family there, our boys were born there. So it was a great experience after all. So we wanted to thank everybody for joining us today. I don't know, Sarah, did you want to add on anything that was
Just
at the end?
wanted to thank you all for being here and just again encourage you to encourage your children to be writers because as we know, anyone who has older children, that's a skill that's very difficult to find passion in later in school. So display their writing, even if it's spelled wrong or if it's a string of letters that don't make sense and pictures, and honor it because before you know it, they won't realize writing is a chore as it is for sometimes even as adults. When it's an experience, that's all they know, then embrace it and celebrate it. And then hopefully they'll find some joy in it as well. But I appreciate you all being here today. I love this work. I love working with families because I'm just a mom trying to figure it out myself.
Yes, and I'm gonna ditto Sarah. I'm with her, and I just want to add a couple things that your children can do. Encourage them to sign birthday cards. That's really powerful and gets them excited to write to their family members and their friends. They can write notes to family members or letters. Sending letters in the mail is still such a big deal. And I know for me, I get excited when I get a letter that's handwritten in the mail. And like my son, have them help you write a grocery list. We all eat and we need groceries, so that's something that they can definitely help you go around the kitchen and decide what you need to shop for. Or like my son, they can copy a recipe that they find online that they want to have for dinner, or maybe a dessert you're going to make. Diaries or journals are really fun for kids to do. And especially now being at home so much, imagine everything that they could write about. And then later, years to come, they can look back at 2020 and everything that we experienced. And then, like my son did when he was little, they can go around the house and label things like the sticky notes and just write what your furniture is. That was always fun for my kids to do. But like Sarah said, we just enjoyed all of you being here with us. It's lovely to see your faces. We love working with families. Um, so it was fun sharing this time with you. We hope that you were able to take something fun that was writing related that you can do with your child at home. So thank you again for being here.